On a day as sacred as this day, June 27th, the day that DJ Screw, back in 1996, released his amazing mixtape that I've never listened to, that the Houston Rockets, with the 3rd overall pick, embrace screw culture by drafting this guy.
What's up, Rocket fans? Reed Sheppard here. Super excited to be in Houston. I can't wait to get this season started. Let's do it.
Hell yeah, Joe George.
He's feeling it. He's loving it.
He was holding up a thumbs up. No, throw up the H.
He'll learn.
Cal McNair learned.
I thought Jalen Green would have given him some pointers, maybe.
He should have.
Right there, then and there. But the thumbs up, so come on, Reed. Downgrading my love of the draft pick.
Is Jalen Green long for Houston if he's not telling Reed Sheppard to throw up the H immediately after the selection?
It's just... What's up, Houston?
Look, he is very white.
Yes.
He is not the tallest man.
Yes.
And I can understand why a lot of people, myself included, look at the pick at face value without doing your homework and say, oh, this guy's the 3rd overall pick for the Houston Rockets.
It does. It's weird. It was a weird night last night watching the NBA draft. They were trying so hard to say good things about these guys across the board, but you've got bench players being taken in the top 10, 2 of them from Kentucky, Sheppard and Dillingham. You've got these French dudes who no one really knows a lot about, and their stats are sad.
3 frogs in the first 6 picks. I mean, American culture's on the decline, but good God, 3 frogs?
The amount that Richard Jefferson just had to talk last night about how great French basketball is was nauseating.
Yeah.
He just kept going back to the same. It's like he clearly had nothing else to say.
By the way,
because he just kept going back to it.
Joe, they had a 4th frog.
They did.
In the first round.
They did.
And I mean, shoot, day 2 of the draft is today. Who knows how many more frogs will be invading our league. Hashtag build a wall. But Reed Sheppard, he's the pick for the Houston Rockets. Let's get serious for a moment. Teams always are going to compliment the hell out of the player that they draft. Any sport, you're going to hear tons of compliments. So for the 4th straight year, it's not surprising that the Houston Rockets said that they believe that they got the best player in the draft. But this time's a little bit different because Rafael Stone said that Reed Sheppard out of Kentucky is the best player in the draft by quite a bit.
Yeah, we had Sheppard very, very high. So I think lots of players, including Donovan, were going to be very successful. But yeah, I mean, our evaluation was that Reed was, Reed has a very special skill set that gives him a chance. It's definitely not certainty, but gives him a chance to be special in the NBA in a way we thought was unique in this draft.
You can shoot the basketball well. You can play in the NBA. There will be a spot for you in this league. If you try on defense and you shoot the ball well, you can play in the NBA, even if you're undersized. Reed Sheppard he checks those boxes. If this was, I wonder if they're saying this if they don't have Şengün, Adams, Jabari, and Klingon sitting there. This to me feels more of a best player, but also probably fits the needs the best for this team. Normally in the past, I think the Rockets are just taking literally the best player on the board no matter what. This one to me seems more of he might have been their best player, but he also probably fits their roster construction the best at this point too.
They need shooters.
Exactly.
They don't really have any shooters.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been games this year where Dylan Brooks is the guy that you're relying on from outside. Good God. You don't want that to happen next year. So you're hoping that he's going to grow into some sort of role. We'll see what it is. I imagine much like at Kentucky, he's going to be coming from off the bench, but maybe more so in a Peyton Pritchard kind of role with the Boston Celtics for those who are paying attention to the NBA playoffs. More positive notes about Reed Sheppard. They said, as you heard from Rafael Stone there, that they really liked him. And had they not had him available at number 3, they would have traded out of that pick. A press release that the Houston Rockets emailed to Rockets media compared him to not just Tyrese Halliburton, but also to Steph Curry.
Okay. Those are big comparisons.
Very big comparisons.
I think when you connecting these quotes, best player in the draft by quite a bit. We would have traded the pick if he wasn't there. Besides, just like I said, fit, that also does go to the credence of why, they probably are so high on him. You don't typically hear that in a press conference. I don't feel like where you openly admit, if this guy's not there, we're probably trading the pick. Most times they just say, yeah, he's our best player, and this was the hope and the plan all along. But to openly acknowledge that you're going to trade that pick, or we're going to try to trade that pick if Reed Sheppard went in the top 2, is also another indication of how much they love him. And I mean, like, the PR staff is not writing the Tyrese Halliburton, Steph Curry comps. That's coming from people in the basketball side, and they're telling them what to write in this moment. So that's setting high expectations. They maybe that's not what they meant to do, but when you put it out there and then it gets put on social media, the fans are going to flock to that and say, "Oh my gosh, we just got a short version of Halliburton. We just got the next Steph Curry with hopefully better ankles." Like that's what fans are going to think.
You've seen, if you've been paying attention to pre-draft coverage, that even though Reed Sheppard isn't the biggest guy, the measurables, I guess, in terms of his wingspan are comparable to Steph Curry. And they're pushing that because he is listed at 6'2", 6'1". We're not really 100% sure what. But they want people to not be concerned about his overall size. Now, to say, as you just said there, that he's got similar numbers and pushing all of the numbers that they did in terms of his shooting percentage and stuff at college, the expectation is going to be that if they develop him properly, that maybe he won't be Steph Curry, and maybe he won't be Tyrese Halliburton. But if he's the best player in the draft, I mean, you better be getting someone that can eventually turn into, as someone brings up on YouTube, Texas Tags, JJ Redick adjacent. Like, that's best case scenario, probably what you're thinking for. Just a guy who is a really good shooter over the course of his career and can also do the little things, which Sheppard actually did a very good job of. Seems to be a very good passer and seems to be very good defensively.
Honestly, the one that I keep thinking of is there's this stretch from 2019 to 2022 in which Curry averaged 12 points a game, 15 points a game, 14.9 points per game. It's Seth Curry. Like, that is a good role player coming off your bench, and that to me seems like a more reasonable comp.
That's not sexy, Joe.
You don't want to tell your fans that he's the other Curry brother, but that's kind of what this pick feels like to me. Is this is a guy that I don't have expectations. Maybe it's because the quality of the draft overall, and like, he didn't start at Kentucky, and as in Calipari's last dance there, but what you're hoping to acquire is depth. We saw this in the finals. We saw this and the year before with the Nuggets, the Celtics. The deeper rosters are what's having great success. All these top picks are not going to be elite players for the Rockets. Some of them are going to develop into really good role players, and that's okay. And that's what they need with Reed Sheppard. They need someone that can come off the bench, that can spot start when you need him, and can knock down threes in big moments. If you can develop him into that guy, you crushed this draft. I don't have the expectation that he's going to be the next JJ Redick, the next Seth Curry or Steph Curry. I just need someone that can consistently make threes, bring, good work ethic, and just the ability to shoot to this team.
Work ethic, yeah. Wonder why you said that, Joe.
That's what Ime Udoka loves, his work ethic.
It's a real gym rat.
First one in, last one out.
Deceptively fast.
We read the Ringer scouting report on him.
I did not, Sean.
Oh, it was a lot of coded language where feel for the game was used a lot. His comps were Steve Nash and Derek White, which is a white person and the guy whose last name is White. But one of them was he got that dog in him. So that's
another good one.
Number one it was number one on the Ringers board and number one on my board.
It means you could play for CJ Stroud any day too.
Yes.
The king.
Or the
of
Chicago
Houston.
Sky.
The Chicago Sky. You're right. Angel Reese. She's got that dog in her. Were you annoyed now that all those smoke screens were a waste of all of our time yesterday?
Which one? The Durant stuff?
The Durant stuff, Windhorst, Stephen A. Smith. Ultimately, all of that chatter that we got in the 24 hours leading up to the Rockets making that selection were a waste of time. There might have been some gamesmanship to it. I saw Jackson Gatlin theorize, he's somebody who covers the Rockets for Locked On Rockets, that this was something that they did because they felt like leaking that they were interested in Paolo Banchero a couple of years ago bit them in the ass, and that's why they ended up with Jabari Smith Jr. I don't know, though. I mean, everyone thought that Paolo was the best player in that draft. At least that's what I thought.
Yeah, I think we all read that draft wrong because the Magic didn't bring in Banchero for a workout, and then they just took him.
Right, exactly.
So I think everyone just kind of read that one wrong.
Were you annoyed by it, though? The smoke screens?
Dude, I'll be honest. I still don't think the Durant stuff's a smoke screen.
Oh, there we go, Joe.
He's still, like, all the conversation, none of it from Stephen A., Windhorst, Woj, not a single time in the audio we played yesterday was the number 3 overall pick mentioned. Not once. It was about the future Suns picks. I still wonder. It doesn't. So yeah, there's a chance Reed Sheppard never plays for the Rockets. I don't know if that's who the Suns would want. There's still something to me about the KD stuff. Now, the Donovan Clingan Şengün thing, yeah, that was kind of far-fetched to me. It felt when we heard it when Windhorst said if they take Clingan, it means they might be open to moving Şengün. That to me is far-fetched. I'm still a believer that the KD stuff is kind of real and could still be real.
The Clingan thing, if they pick Clingan, then maybe Şengün. That to me felt like watch the draft on ESPN. Like that felt like it was promo for the draft. Because he would also say it feels like the draft starts at number 3 because there's 2 Frenchies going in the top 2 that average combined. If you average, they combined for 19 points per game in France and in Australia. So yeah, Ray. Well, watch the 2 guys that you saw in the tournament. Well, you didn't see you saw Reed Sheppard for 1 game in the tournament, but watch 2 guys that played college basketball instead.
Clingan went 7th overall, by the way, for all of that. And I'm glad the NBA needs to move away from these dinosaur players. Nothing against Clingan. I just know that type of player does not work in today's NBA.
Yeah, but then Zach Edey went number 9.
I think this is where we talk about this year's draft being terrible.
Exactly.
That Zach Edey, where they're like, yeah, he might get played off the floor sometimes, but man, he can set some screens for John Morant.
I'd rather see Taco Fall out there than Zach Edey.
Taco.
I mean, to be perfectly honest.
If we're going to just have a freak show, yeah.
I mean, well, the Rockets, hey.
We got ours.
It's not nice to call him a freak show.
What?
But the Rockets do have their fun guy in Boban.
I mean, I think it's a good description, Paul. You're outvoted here.
I'm not mean, okay? I don't call people soft or glass, especially if I have a soft-looking belly. And I am not going to call Boban a lovable man who just happens to be large. He can't control how big he is.
I called Taco Fall a freak show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't call Boban a freak show.
Part of it's
you called
his name is
Boban a
Taco
freak show.
No,
Fall.
you guys talked about freak shows, and I brought up players.
We
who
didn't
were
bring
thought
up-
of as
we
that,
didn't
but I didn't
bring
say
up
the word.
Boban.
You're dropping the F-bomb on this show.
We didn't
Freak
bring
show.
up Boban. You brought up Boban.
Well, yes, because you're talking about large human beings.
You're making assumptions, Paul.
You know what? We're only shortest on this show, not bigsest, okay?